Talk Radio 1450 WCTC.
Our Forge Jewelers Omega time is 7:49. Forge Jewelers, the official jeweler of 1450 WCTC. Still to come here on Jersey Central, our contest, your chance to win a pair of tickets as we present the return of medium Marissa Lizapel, George Street Playhouse. She'll be back in town on April 12th. Tickets are on sale now at George Street Playhouse, the website, and your chance to win a free pair of tickets coming up very, very shortly. Let's get to the Jersey Central Newsmaker Hotline. You know, in this contemporary world that we live in, two things that are constantly changing, and that are love and relationships. A new study from AVVO has been released, examines how attitudes are changing about modern love. Joining us today to talk about relationships and this new study, I want to welcome in Dr. Nika Kabiri. She's a social scientist, a law and society analyst at online legal marketplace AVVO. Dr. Kabiri, thank you for joining us, and welcome to WCTC. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that maybe, just maybe, one or two relationships were strained just a little bit with this past election cycle and these campaigns, and maybe just a little bit of disagreement maybe between a couple here and there. Not widespread, of course, right?
Probably.
Probably?
Yeah.
Right, yes. I'm going to say probably a lot. Probably a lot.
Yeah.
Things like that impact relationships, right?
Yes, they do. And it's kind of interesting because if the relationship is already being impacted by other things, like if one person's doing more of the housework and they resent that, or maybe somebody cheated last year, then something like the election could really trigger something like a breakup.
Nick, yeah, I'll teach him to support Donald Trump, stuff like that, right? Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly. This study is interesting. Can you share some of the highlights from this relationship study?
Sure. One of the bigger highlights, a lot of the study focused on the role of money and financial power, finances in relationships. And one of the biggest findings was that most people aren't really comfortable marrying someone who has a lot of debt. So if you're planning on looking for, the love of your life and settling down for good, you might want to clear out any debt you have. But also, more people these days aren't really happy being the primary breadwinner in the relationship. Even men are kind of not really into that anymore. It feels like more of a burden nowadays than it does having kind of, the upper hand as it used to. So that was kind of interesting as well.
Now, you talk to people, Doctor, about marriage and divorce and, happily ever after here. And, when you tell people that, about half of marriages end in divorce, nobody bats an eye anymore. It used to be a real startling statistic when you heard that. And now it's like, 50% of marriages fail. And, oh, okay, well, what's for lunch? It seems like nobody takes that statistic very seriously anymore.
It's true. And, it's kind of interesting. One thing that came out of our study as well is that for every 10 married people out there, 8 of them will tell you that they would rather be alone and happy than in a relationship where they're not completely fulfilled. So there is this kind of, happiness trumps marriage, it trumps all of that stuff. In the old days, you just kind of stuck it out. But I think it's becoming a little bit more about, the self-fulfillment.
Yeah, and online dating has kind of taken on a life of its own as well. You hear about these, the matches of the world and things that just kind of bring people together for dating. There's hookup sites like Tinder and things like that are out there. The influence that online dating has in it. Who is using these websites, Doctor, and are they getting success? Are there results there?
Yeah, so, younger people, which isn't surprising, are more likely to date online. Another interesting thing, Democrats are more, people who self-identify as Democrats are more likely to date online than those who self-identify as Republicans. But I think online dating has had an influence mostly on people who are divorced and single and out there looking. And a lot of people like it. Half of the people who've tried it say it's fun. Over half say it's great to find a rebound. And about 6 out of 10 people actually believe it's a great way to find a meaningful partner, relationship, to find the right partner.
Talk about that man or woman post-divorce, if you would, Dr. Kabiri. As maybe someone might say, well, you know what, I'm never going to do that again. Or maybe someone is like, you know what, I got a lot I can bring to the table in a relationship, and I'd like to meet somebody and maybe give this marriage try a second shot. I got 20 years under my belt, and one is fine for me. One is all I'll ever have in my life, Doctor. But talk about for people post-divorce.
Yeah, it's interesting because 1 out of 3 people who are divorced right now say they're currently single. Most of them are women. And of those who are single, only 1 out of 5 are currently looking. So there are quite a few divorced single people out there who are just kind of, happy with the single life and just doing their thing. So that's kind of interesting.
Does this data and this study, does it talk about same-sex couples also? Because that's becoming incredibly prevalent in our society.
Yes, past studies that we've done have talked about that. This study focused more on finances and relationships, and so it was sort of agnostic to whether these are same-sex or different-sex couples. So yeah, we have some same-sex couples in the mix here in the survey, but we haven't really focused as much on that this year. So, but yeah, it's hard to imagine that these things aren't universal, that these experiences aren't universal.
Yeah, I'm sure. Very interesting. Where can someone go to check out this research? Is this available online for people to see?
Yep. You can go to our website, avvo.com. That's avo.com. There's a lot of great content there about anything you might not want to know about legal issues, including family planning, divorce, child custody, prenups, and a bunch of other stuff. And our relationship study is up there, too, in our blog.
All right. Great stuff. Dr. Nika Kabiri, thanks for your time this morning on WCTC. Appreciate your flexibility with the weather and stuff going on here. And thank you again. Hopefully we could talk again soon.
Oh, thank you. I'd love to come back, and y'all stay safe.
You bet we will. Thank you. All right. Jersey Central traffic and weather time. It's now 7:50.